there is no escape, nor do we want it. We've come to thrive on it and each other. You can't get the adrenaline pumping without the terror, good people.
The horror documentary is something I absolutely love. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 documentaries here that I want to tell you guys about. If you're new to the horror documentary world, because I'm assuming the first thing you do is fall in love with the movies, and then once you really fall in love with said movies, you want to know everything about them. And there are some documentaries that skirt the truth, don't really tell you what happened, and there are some other ones that really get into the nitty-gritty, and those are my kind of favorites. Now, a lot of those in here are those type of documentaries. So on this episode of Christian and Horror, I've got 7 horror documentaries that I love, and I would love for you guys, if you have not seen these, to check them out. Let's start with the absolute most blatantly obvious ones. Crystal Lake Memories. Now, this was a horror documentary that people were so excited for because the book, Crystal Lake Memories, is a masterpiece. If I can get this in camera right. Crystal Lake Memories is a juggernaut of a documentary because it is very long. It's very comprehensive for every entry into this franchise. There are so many entries in this franchise that the documentary is like around the 4-hour mark. It takes a while to watch. I think it's even longer than that. It's very long. And it's very comprehensive with each entry. They talk about the production problems, how they got involved with the making of, who got hired, why they got hired, all that stuff. The most entertaining one by far is Part 5. When you get to Part 5 on this, it's insanity. And I love it. So Crystal Lake Memories is a great one. I believe a lot of it's on YouTube, but if you really want to get the best quality and you want to get the special features, go ahead and get the Blu-ray set for Crystal Lake Memories. And Peter Bracke, who did the book, still get the book. Trust me, the book is still the absolute best, but this is obviously for movies. But Crystal Lake Memories is awesome. Definitely pick that up. The next one, again, sticking with the obvious. Let's get this out of the way. Never Sleep Again is a no-brainer. This is another amazing. This is probably my favorite horror documentary. Never Sleep Again. Again, just like Crystal Lake Memories, Never Sleep Again dives hardcore deep into the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. It tells the exact story of what happened with each entry, and it's brilliant. Wes was still alive when they did this, so thankfully Wes talks in this, and he's very honest and open about where he got inspired to make the films, the behind-the-scenes shenanigans that happened with the making of these films, specifically Dream Warriors, a very rocky production where Chuck Russell had to do what he had to do to get the film made, so to speak. The troubles with Patricia Arquette not being up to scuff with her acting and things like that in preparation, but she did pull it through. Great stuff. Love this documentary. Never Sleep Again is another classic, great documentary. So if you haven't seen this one, if you haven't seen those two, definitely. The next one is one that is actually available on Shudder, but I own it because the special features actually are commentaries with the guy who made these, and they were actually pretty informative. But if you want to see this on Shudder, see it on Shudder. This is probably... I like this more than In Search of Darkness. Now, I enjoyed In Search of Darkness Part 1, and I really enjoyed Part 2, but in terms of documentaries on Shudder, to me, nothing beat Cursed Films. Cursed Films was insane. Cursed Films was so informative. Cursed Films was so gut-wrenching with some of these stories. I can't put this one over enough. I think this is one of the best things Shudder ever produced was Cursed Films. I mean, literally, it was that good. And I will say that when you get to one particular movie that was directed by John Landis, which was the Twilight Zone movie, you will be gutted by the end of it. It is emotionally draining, so I just want to say, be prepared. But this one goes into The Omen, the troubled production of The Omen. It goes into the troubled production and post-production of The Exorcist and what those actors had to deal with, particularly Linda Blair. It talks about the legend of the poltergeist curse and, getting rid of the curse. It talks about movies like The Crow and what happened on that set, and they really talk about what happened. And then, of course, there's other stuff in here, but the Twilight Zone just was gut-wrenching. So be ready for this one, but it's really informative. I loved it. Next is one of the best documentaries because everybody was still young enough and knowledgeable enough to really recount their early memories of things, and that's Reflections of the Living Dead. Reflections of the Living Dead is the greatest one of the greatest horror documentaries ever. I love it. Toby Hooper is in here. Everybody is in here that talks about seeing Night of the Living Dead. All the people that were involved in the making of this, they talk about seeing Night of the Living Dead, what it inspired them to do. Toby Hooper went on record saying that Night of the Living Dead inspired him to write Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that's really important, and I want that to be known. So Reflections of the Living Dead is an amazing Night of the Living Dead documentary. I love it so much. Can't put this one over enough. I think I got so far all these were from Amazon if you want to buy these. But Reflections of the Living Dead was amazing. Very charming documentary. Very, very nice. It's a retro documentary. It's from '93. So, really good. Everybody's nice and alive and young enough to where they can recount things and tell their story. Love it. So, Night of the Living Dead is Reflections of the Living Dead is awesome. Another classic documentary that Scream Factory actually put out, believe it or not, that is Terror in the Aisles. Terror in the Aisles is great. I mean, it really is great. I love this one so much because of the cut scenes with Donald Pleasance in the movie theater. And whenever I don't know what to watch, I watch Terror in the Aisles because I can get my fix of basically everything. And then it'll jumpstart my need to want to revisit this or go revisit that. I love Terror in the Aisles. And this Blu-ray actually looks really good. I mean, I have this on a Halloween 2 DVD Blu-ray, but this, and it has Terror in the Aisles on it, but this one looks picture quality-wise better. So I love Terror in the Aisles. I definitely recommend getting this one. This is from Scream Factory themselves. Great vintage making of while all this stuff was going on, it was being made. So Terror in the Aisles is great. Love it. I don't know what the special features there are on here. Oh, new interview with actress Nancy Allen, who's in here. New interview with composer John Beal and editor Gregory McClathy. New audio commentary with pop culture historian. An alternate television cut in standard def. So I haven't watched the special features on here, as you can tell, but I got this because I wanted to be able to see this documentary in better picture, and I loved it. So definitely check out Terror in the Aisles. Next is about the greatest horror movie ever made, in my opinion. That is The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, A Family Portrait Revisited. Great stuff. This is the greatest horror movie ever made, to me. It really is. So any kind of documentary that accounts that needs to be seen. You need to hear the story of this film because it's insane. I mean, it really is. The actors were... Gunnar was literally sweating profusely all day, every day, getting paid pennies and never being able to wash his clothes or anything. It was brutal. I mean, this was an insane production because of where it was filmed, the low-budget nature of this film, everybody rallying together. When you see vehicles in the movie, it's people that worked on the film's vehicles. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a film that is the greatest from every... I don't know how to say it, just every angle. Everything that happened makes this the greatest. The way it was filmed, the idea for it, everything about this movie is amazing. And A Family Portrait Revisited is insane. So definitely look up this documentary. I think this comes on some Blu-ray releases. I'm not sure. But you can find it. Family Portrait Revisited. And last, but certainly not least on this list, is my favorite horror movie ever. More Brains, Return of the Living Dead documentary. This is so good. I'm not just saying that because I love this movie. I'm saying that because this documentary is very honest about everything. The only thing they don't talk about in here, and I'm going to bring it up because I don't want people to think I don't know about it or I don't want to bring it up, is Brian Peck, who has gone on to work for Disney in later years, and I think he got himself in trouble messing with the young kids, which that Dan Schneider guy, too, he got fired because of the controversy kicking up, and those are weird guys. So Brian Peck definitely got away with being called out. It seems like, I mean, I had to find out about this stuff through offbeat documentaries about Dan Schneider to even find out about Brian Peck. But Brian Peck is in here, but he did mess with kids, from what I understand, and he was actually convicted and served his time or whatever it was. I don't remember the details of his criminal sentence, but other than that, forget Brian Peck. This documentary is amazing because they talk about everything that happened in the making of this. And it's not a great production. I mean, you had guys getting fired because they were not great special effects artists, but then he would say they had no money. Everything about this. Clu Gallagher throwing cans at the door when the director leaves the room because Dan O'Bannon was a rough director. Amazing documentary. If you have the Scream Factory Blu-ray, this documentary is on that Blu-ray. Disc 2, I believe. But if not, get this Return of the Living Dead, more brains, the documentary. It's the best. So those are 7 horror documentaries I quite frankly couldn't live without. I love those. As weird as it sounds, high rewatch value. I mean, I'll go back and rewatch these documentaries all the time. More Brains is amazing. I love it so definitely check those out, guys. But please, if you haven't seen any of these, go out of your way to see these documentaries. They're just as entertaining as the films themselves. And if you are a seasoned horror documentary viewer, can you please drop some of the comments below in case somebody's watching this that already has seen all these that maybe you would like to throw to the table. Maybe I haven't seen it yet, so I'm always looking for a great horror documentary. So guys, let me know about that in the comment section below, and let me know about those, which ones are your favorite. For now, this is Christian Hanna Horror. We'll see you next time with the House of Wax Scream Factory Blu-ray.